Pranams Guruji. My salutations and respects to all of you present here. Special regards to Sri Anantanand Ram Bachanji. Thank you very much for your illuminating discourse on the message of the Bhagavad Gita communicated through the vision of Pujya Gurudev. The topic given for me is the philosophical and the intellectual contributions of Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda. What I would try to do is take a few verses from the Upanishads, a few verses from the Bhagavad Gita, and see how Pujya Gurudev has philosophically contributed, just to give a sample. Because once you get a sample, you understand how he has done it. First of all, Vedantic wisdom enshrined in the teachings of the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita and the Brahma Sutra, collectively called the Prasthanatraya, was the foundation of Pujya Gurudev's work. So, Gurudev's work was founded on Vedanta. Gurudev's work was also dedicated to his gurus, his inspirational teachers, Pujya Swami Shivananji Maharaj and Sri Swami Tapovanji. Let me elucidate it by reading for you from the dedication page of the first Yajna, Jnana Yajna. Gurudev's lectures, discourses were given this title, the Jnana Yajna. So from that Yajna Prasad, at the end of it, a prasad would be given, a book would be given. So from that Yajna Prasad, let me read out this beautiful portion which will very clearly tell us what Gurudev wanted to do and where the foundation is. Chinmaya's work is dedicated to the Shrutis. Every word here is beautiful. Chinmaya's work is dedicated to the Shrutis that told me what reality is. To Sri Swami Tapovan Maharaj of Uttarkashi, who guided me to the end and pushed me into the beyond. And to Sadgurudev Sri Swami Shivananji Maharaj of Rishikesh, who showed me in his life how to live and act in God as God. So you can see what is very beginning. He said what he is going to do and to whom it is dedicated and what is the foundation. Now, why did Gurudev give so much importance to the Vedanta? That is because whole Sanatana Dharma is based on the Vedic and the Vedantic message. Dharmo kilo, Vedo kilo, Dharma moolam. And the Upanishads, which are part of the Shruti, is that very basis. So, Gurudev would always say that Sanatana Dharma is the religion of the Upanishads. And therefore, he took upon his life message. In his first talk, let us be Hindus, he declares. Meaning, he says, what does he say? Hinduism is the religion of Vedanta, the eternal religion of the Upanishads. And then he goes on. And then he says, Hinduism is a vast amphitheater. Hinduism in its vast amphitheater has preserved and worshipped under the camouflage of heavy descriptions contained in the Puranas, Shastras, and their commentaries of 1,000 different interpretations. This overgrowth has so effectively come to conceal the real beauty and grandeur of this temple of truth that today the college-educated illiterates, please see the words, the college-educated illiterates in their ignorance of the language and style of the ancient Sanskrit writers miss the temple amidst its own festoons. To inquire into the very textbooks of our religion with a view of knowing what Hinduism has to teach and how its message can be used to save us as we face the problems of our daily lives is the aim of this 100 days Upanishad Jnana Yajna, which is now proposed to commence on December 31st, 1951 here in Pune. So you can very clearly say what he intends to do. He intends to teach the Vedantic message, the Upanishadic message, which of course is reflected in the Bhagavad Gita and the other Shastras. He intends to communicate this so that we understand what truly Hinduism is, so that it can apply to our life and make a difference to our living. This is Pujya Gurudev's. So, now Gurudev also explains the inherent vitality of Hinduism. He says, friends, one of the greatest miracles in history is the endless history of Hinduism. Hinduism is the mother of all religions and philosophy from the Vedic period until today. How did Hinduism survive? Even without the organization that churches and mosques had, it survived. Even through the ups and downs of historical periods, Hinduism remained. Why? How? And Gurudev says, it is because of the elasticity of Hinduism. He gives two beautiful examples. I'm not going to read that portion, but beautiful examples. He says, look, how does a tree grow? A tree grows from inside through the cambium. But even as the tree grows, the bark of it surrounds it and allows it to expand. Example 1. Another example he gives is a Garbhini, the lady who is carrying. She grows, but around her, her body grows. Right? In the same way, whenever we require, we in our needs need certain things, a religion which is not able to grow and accommodate will collapse. Whereas a religion which is able to give and satisfy to the needs and is able to suit itself according to the requirements of the time will be able to grow, adjust, contribute and be meaningful. And Gurudev says this is unique capacity which is found in Hinduism. This capacity is rarely found in other religions, which become fanatical, do not grow, and instead crush society and refuse to allow it to grow. Like that. And then Gurudev says various cultures and traditions you have seen, the Greek, the Macedonian, the Roman. Those of us who have listened to Gurudev would remember all these. How Gurudev says that they all have collapsed. Whereas Hinduism has remained today even as a living tradition, as a living religion, as in all of us. Now, one more thing Gurudev used to say is that, he used to say, Hinduism has a capacity to throw at the right time the right person who would be able to satisfy the needs of the society by re-looking at the Shastras in a way that is applicable, relatable, meaningful, and purposeful. So this, but it is not that, you can give interpretation, you can do whatever you want, you can just write whatever you want in the name of religion and then take words and then no. There is a system. Gurudev was very, very firm in being true to the Advaitic truths. And whatever he expressed was to the methodology of the Adhyaropa Apavada method. Adhyaropa Apavada, which is the very core of the Vedantic methodology, Gurudev stood with that. And this freedom to look at the Shastras and give meaningful interpretations being rooted in the truth is a tradition which is so true to Vedanta. There's a beautiful verse from Sri Sureshwaracharya in his Vartika. He says, Yaya yaya bhavet pumsam, Yaya yaya bhavet pumsam, Vyutpatti pratyegatmani, Sa saiva prakriyeha syat, Sadhvi, Sacha anavastita. This is a very great freedom the Shastra entrusts. It says, Yaya yaya bhavet pumsam, whatever be the methodology through which a person is able to come to the one truth, Vyutpatti pratyegatmani, Saeva prakriyaiha syat. That is the method. Sadhvi, it's perfect. Sa cha anavastita. It is not something which is sculpted on stone and it can't be changed. So Gurudev, true to the Advaitic tradition and the thought, has looked at the scriptures in ways which are very unique. I can say that ways which are so unique that we as youngsters would skip movies, would not go for our games, but go for Gurudev's lectures to attend those talks. This is what we all friends used to do. How did Gurudev do that? Because he gave us in a way which was palatable to all of us. We loved it. Love is the most powerful word. Gurudev made us love Vedanta. And through that knowledge of Vedanta, Gurudev gave love for our dharma, love for our culture and tradition. So as I said at the beginning, let me take a few instances and show how Gurudev looked at it. Of course, my time is very short, so you will please excuse me if whatever I say is not fully intelligible. Please, but I will give you the sources where you can go and yourself see for yourself. Now, in Keynote Upanishad, there's a beautiful line. Anya deva tat viditat, ato aviditat adhi. It is other than the known, it is other than the unknown. What is reality? Other than the known, other than the unknown. Shankaracharya, the great Bhashyakara, who is the very source for all our Vedantic wisdom and tradition. So Shankaracharya says, Vidita stands for what is Vyakrita, what is manifested. Vidita, manifested. So the entire world of names and forms, all that we see and experience comes under Vidita. Gurudev also explains the same thing. Now the change comes when it goes to Avidita. Avidita, Shankaracharya says, see, I may quote Shankaracharya says and then I will say Gurudev says, but please don't think Gurudev is contradicting Shankaracharya, anything like that. Remember, yaya bhavet pumsam vyutpatti pratyagatmani sa saiva prakriyeha syat. Right? Shankaracharya is the very foundation. Okay? So, Gurudev, Viditat, he says same. Shankaracharya, when he goes to Avidita, he says Avidita is Vyakrita, he has said. Now this is Avyakrita, the unmanifested, Ajnana, Maya, Prakriti. Now this is something which is perfect, which is nice, and you understand, I understand. But look at how Gurudev says. He says, both Vidita and Avidita, I know something. He gives the example of, do you know the birth date of Ashoka? King Ashoka? I don't know. Now, what is that which is different from I know and I don't know? Very, very experiential question. Yes, you can see for yourself. What do I know? What do I don't know? What is different from both? And then he says, that which illumines the known and the unknown is you, the pure consciousness. This is Hasta Malaka. Putting on your, you can just see for yourself. Right? Now, there are also, those of you who are students of Upanishads, you know. The Ishavasya Upanishad, the Vidya, Avidya, Sambhuti, Asambhuti, how they tax the mind for an understanding. Our Professor Srinivas Avarkideji was also referring today to Vidya. Right? Gurudev takes all of them and says so beautifully, Sambhuti, Asambhuti. I'm not explaining all those things, there's no time at all for that. But, Shankaracharya also brings an avagraha there. Gurudev just goes smooth with the whole discussion. You please see for yourself. And there also what he does is that he brings in a reference to what he heard from his own master, Sri Swami Taponji Maharaj. This only that I will say here. He says, Sambhuti is the new life, spiritual life. Vinasha is a destruction of the vasanas. Sambhutim cha vinasham cha yastadvedo vayagum saha. Vinashena mrityum titva sambhutya amrutam ashnute. No, he says the whole spiritual life of this is these two: destruction of the negative vasanas and evolving to a new life of spiritual glory, new life of spiritual realization. Now he says the whole spiritual life is nothing but this. And he says this is a beautiful explanation I heard from my guru. Same also Vidya. Sambhuti, Asambhuti, he also takes it as personal and the impersonal, Bhakti and Jnana. And then he says the whole discussion of what is Bhakti and what is Jnana, which is greater, is all gone when you take it this way. So these are some very, very beautiful explanations. Please do have a look. Now, Upanishads, of course, you see, but the brilliance of Pujya Gurudev's outlook comes out in the Bhagavad Gita. And I don't think there is a better commentary on the Bhagavad Gita for all of us to understand than Gurudev's commentary. I'm not saying this because I'm disciple of Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda. There was a time when I was not disciple of Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda, and it was then I studied that Bhagavad Gita and it impressed me. Youngster, now no more an youngster, but it impressed me. It is most logical. And Gurudev does not ask us to believe this or that. What you know, he takes it and through that explains. I'll give you an example. I think this is the 9th chapter. Devan Devayajo Yanti. The worshippers of the Devatas go to the Devatas. Pitrun Yanti Pitru Vrata. The worshippers of the Pitrus, they go to the Pitrus. Bhutani Yanti Bhutejyaha. The worshipper of the ghosts, the demons and whatever, they go to the demons. Now, such a statement is there. And Mad Bhakta Yanti Mamapi. And those who are devotees of me will come to me. Okay? Now, you see how Gurudev takes it. Devan Devayajo Yanti. Gurudev says, takes Deva as a sensus, that which illumines. So the senses and the sense objects. So those who are reveling in the realm of the sense objects, they will get more and more joys from the sense objects. I did not have to think of any Devta, Indra, Vayu, Varuna. Pitrun Yanti Pitru Vrataha. Those are worshippers of the ancestors, reach the ancestors. Now, Gurudev, those who are very conscious of the cultural purity and the tradition of the ancestors, and those who live according to that will reach the purity of the tradition and culture and live a life accordingly to that. Bhutani Yanti Bhutejyaha. Those who worship devils will go to devils. Now, I'm just giving the literal. Now, Bhuta, Gurudev takes as the materials. And those who are physics, chemistry, physics, botany, zoology, mathematics, those who are deeply engaged in these material sciences will become masters of those material sciences. In other words, where you put your heart, you will gain that. Now, how beautiful this is. You know, there is a time when you have to get this explanation. If somebody had told me that the worship of Devatas, go to Devatas, you go to Devatas, I don't care. That will be my response at that time. There's a time when you need to get a right understanding of this nature, which will pave the path for you to deeper study and see the deeper truths, which will require a certain amount of understanding and faith to comprehend. These are the beauties which our Gurudev did. He opened Vedanta for all. The faithful or the faithless. Gurudev used to say, I love to catch the uninterested. Here is a person who was once uninterested standing. That's what Gurudev did. Many things can be said. I just gave one example from Bhagavad Gita. How many examples can be said from the Bhagavad Gita? His beautiful interpretation of the Akshara Purusha, Akshara Purusha, Uttama Purusha. Unique, very subtle, beautiful, unmatched. Nowhere you will find such explanation. Please see for yourself how he explains that. And how he takes the word yajna. Yajna was referred to here. Yajna is dedicated activity selflessly for the totality. And with that, what a hermeneutical way of explanation of the whole sequence of the karma chakra. Beautiful. Yajnat bhavati parjanyaha. Annat bhavanti bhutani. Parjanyad anna sambhavaha. Yajnat bhavati parjanyaha. Now you have to have a lot of faith. Yajnat bhavati parjanyaha. But the way Gurudev takes all these terms and gives a cohesive interpretation. Rain is the conducive circumstances where something material is converted into food. So, yajna brings about the conducive circumstances for all of us to grow as a society. Not just giving it as a cosmological event from this and this and this and this, but rather giving it a way of look, an outlook whereby we can practice it, adopt it in our life, and see the transformation and bring about a beautiful society. This is all beautiful contributions of Gurudev. Let me also tell you other simple things apart from these, various interpretations which Gurudev has done. Interpretations you may call, outlook you may call. I leave that words to you. But these beautiful pieces of, beautiful ways to look, that's what I would say. This was very fascinating when I heard the first time, and even now continues to fascinate me. What is the unit of time? Second. Do you know why it is called second? Look at how Gurudev, the unit of time is second. Why second? The Gurudev says, time is a distance between two events. Time is a distance between two events. The first event, let us say, is a first thought. Was time there at that time? No. Because time is a distance between two events. So second event has to happen. And when the second event, the second thought comes, you have the birth of time. Therefore, the unit of time is second. I tell you, you find out anywhere, nowhere you will find this. I have searched. 30 years I have dedicated to search where this explanation is there. Nowhere is there. It is unique. And apart from all these very complex things, how we used to tell stories to communicate. Wow. We used to roll in laughter. It was not like Vedanta class, it was humor class. And somebody asked Gurudev, why do you tell so much of jokes and stories? He says beautifully, when the mother feeds the child, what does the mother do? The mother shows the distant moon there, the birds there, and the child opens the mouth. At that time, what does the mother do? The mother puts the food in the mouth. Same way, when you all open your mouth, I put Vedanta into you. What love? Where do you find such a teacher? That is Gurudev. And how he summarized the whole of Vedanta in that Om, V, B, M, I, P, F, T, O, E, T. It's an academic conference. They say it should be objective. But, I used to think for a long time, why this V? Why not Ajnana? Because Om, those of you who know the BMI chat, you understand my question. Why not Ajnana? Why not ignorance? Why V? I used to wonder. I got the answer in Siddhanta Bindu, commentary of Madhusudana Saraswati on Dashashloki, where he says, Ajnana is Vasana Vishishta. Karana Sharira is Vasana Vishishta Ajnanam. In other words, Ajnana is same in all of us, but what distinguishes us is Vasana. That's why we. Now, why not PFT is there, no? BMI is there. Indriyas go with M and I. Those who study Vedanta, Indriyas go with the subtle body, M and I. Why body under which perceiver comes? Adhyasa Bhashya, Shankaracharya explains that. Dehadi indriyeshu aham abhimana rahitasya pramatritva anupapattehe. So unless there is identification of the be, perceivership cannot come. Please, these are very technical points. But Gurudev ensures that they are all perfectly incorporated in that simple Om, BMI, PFT, OET, the chart, with which he taught the whole Vedanta to all of us. The beauty of Gurudev's teaching is that he loved us. That's all I can say. And that teaching has transformed us, and that is what has brought us here today. I know people from so many countries who can't travel because of the age and all. They have come. Why? That love. And that is the greatness. And today on this Jayanti day, we offer our salutations to Gurudev. Many points come to my mind, but this is not an occasion to discuss all of them. Some of the most, sin. Gurudev used to say very beautifully, what is sin? Self-insulting act is sin. Over. Self-insulting act is sin. When what you do insults you, that is called sin. First you understand this, then you can understand many things. That is how Gurudev would take us. So, who is Gurudev? Let me conclude with this. You see, the same spirit, that spirit of Sanatana Dharma, which brought a Vedavyasa to us, and the same spirit which brought Adi Shankara, Sanatana Dharma manifests. When Vedavyasa came, there was a trouble. He compiled the Vedas, he wrote the Mahabharata, he wrote all the Puranas, he gave the Bhagavad Gita. That is the same spirit. And in the times of Adi Shankaracharya, again we had severe problems. Culture. When I say we, culture had. There was a need to write commentaries on them. So there came the commentaries. And the same spirit of Sanatana Dharma, when after our independence we were all outward looking, none of us looking within us. Anything which was Indian, anything which was Hindu, anything which was Sanatana is worthless, useless. The same spirit of Sanatana Dharma appeared as Pujya Gurudev and explained to us in the language we can understand, in a meaningful way, and preserved this knowledge and tradition for all of us for eternity. And here we are standing in the concretization of vision of Pujya Gurudev, the Chinmaya Vishwa Vidyapeeth, where he wanted the Indian knowledge systems to be integrated with the contemporary knowledge fields. So I thank each and every one of you for being present here. That's not my job. And I'm grateful to Professor Anantanand Rambachanji. He did the first course, Vedanta course with Pujya Guruji. He's there. And among these stalwarts, a galaxy of great persons assembled here. We invoke the grace and blessings of Pujya Gurudev always. Thank you.